Working for you. A weekly talk radio program which highlights developments of national interest and the activities of your St. Kitts Nevis government. Join host Roy Williams as he presents news, views, reports, and interviews about everything regarding the activities of the Team Unity government and the building of our communities and the development of St. Kitts Nevis. Tune in and call in to interact with your government and share your views regarding the upward forward development of your community and our beautiful Twin Island Federation. Working for You is weekly, every Wednesday live from 1:30 p.m. to 3 p.m. on ZIZ Radio, Win FM, and Sugar City FM with rebroadcast on participating stations. Working for You.
Good afternoon, and we welcome you to Working for You for Wednesday, February 8th. We thank you for tuning in to this program. We thank you for listening, and later on we'll invite you to call in, ask your questions, give your suggestions, share your comments. I am Roy Williams, your host for Working for You. Today I have with me a special guest, and he's His Excellency Ambassador Sydney Osborne, who is chairman of the organizing committee for the week of activities to mark the second anniversary of the Government of National Unity. But he's also ambassador to CARICOM and OECS commissioner. Ambassador, welcome.
Thank you very much, Roy. It's good to be here this afternoon.
Sure. Okay, so it's the second year around the Government of National Unity came to power in a historic victory, a very significant victory, on the 16th of February 2015.
Correct.
It was the very first time in the history of the Federation that three parties came together to form the government. That is the People's Labour Party, which is headed by the Prime Minister, Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris. We have the Concerned Citizens Movement out of Nevis, and the leader is the Premier, the Honorable Vance Amory. And then we have the People's Action Movement, PAM. And the leader of the People's Action Movement is the Honorable Sean K. Richards.
Correct.
And so here it is that we are celebrating the second anniversary of the Government of National Unity. And as in any celebration, there is a week of activities that has been planned to commemorate the second anniversary. And so today, you're going to speak to us as chairman of the organizing committee of the second anniversary, what some of these activities are, what the public is to expect about these activities, and a sort of a rationale behind some of these activities. So let me start the ball rolling, Ambassador. Why a second anniversary celebration? Why? I mean, we had the first one already. Is this going to be something that you're going to have for the 5-year term of the government? That every year there will be a celebration?
Well, I expect every year there will be a celebration. I don't know that each year it will be as extensive as this particular one is. I think the reason why we are looking at the second year is simply because the first year there was a lot of things which needed to be done in terms of getting information. Because after all, we only formed the government on the 15th, sorry, the 16th of February. And so there's a lot that we didn't know that was going on as far as the government is concerned. So you had to take some time in terms of getting a feel for what is happening, putting certain policies and plans in place and programs. And so the first anniversary was in a way low-keyed as opposed to this one. But we feel in terms of what has happened, the commitments we made to the people, and what has happened over the 2-year period, that it's really a time for us to celebrate and let people know exactly what has been accomplished in the 2-year period. I'm sure if people are going to be honest with themselves and look closely at what has happened over the 2 years, they will be satisfied that a lot has been done. And I think, as the Prime Minister has said, and I think other persons have said, we have done so much in 2 years that defies the understanding of some people. And so we figured that this was a good time to come out and celebrate with our people in both St. Kitts and Nevis. So it's not something just St. Kitts alone, it's the Federation of St. Christopher and Nevis, so that our activities span both islands, St. Kitts and Nevis. We want to get the persons understanding and appreciating that we are one people. By accident, maybe some of us were born in St. Kitts and some of us were born in Nevis. But as far as everyone should be concerned, we are one people, divided by the strip of water, St. Kitts and Nevis. And so that is the reason for this particular celebration, covering both islands, to ensure that both the people in St. Kitts and Nevis appreciate and understand that we are one people.
Okay.
The accident of where we are born, one in St. Kitts and another in Nevis, but we are one people, one federation.
And so basically what I hear you saying is that the week of activities to commemorate the 2nd anniversary is basically a celebration of the accomplishments thus far of the Government of National Unity.
Yes.
The accomplishments, those that are, the tangible accomplishments, of course, and the intangible too, because there are some things that are in the pipeline and so on in terms of making policies and so on, laws and so on that have not come on stream as yet.
Yeah, that is right. If you, as we go through the program, you will recognize and people will realize that there's some activities which are things which we are doing for the first time. There's some activities which lead into the 3rd year and would have a very serious impact on persons in the community. Not only our young people, because there's a program which we're moving into in terms of training of our young people, empowering our young people, and there's also a program in terms of persons, young people also, but adults, in terms of the housing solution that we want to introduce here in St. Kitts and Nevis. So those are some of the two of the new things I can say which will be done during this particular 1-week celebration.
Sure. Okay, well, let's start the ball rolling in terms of telling us what basically is on the agenda for the week of activities that has been planned.
Yeah, I just want to say, Les Roy, that I'd done this already with you where we went through the program, but one understands or should understand that in any set of activities you want to have, it can be a work in progress. And so there are some revisions which will take place over a period as you think about it, as you consult, as you discuss. And so I'm here this afternoon because I think we now have the final program for this week of activities. And there's just some differences from what I spoke about the last time I was here. So that is one of the reasons I'm happy to have the opportunity to be here on this particular program to speak to the people.
And we're happy to have you.
Yeah, we begin on Sunday the 12th, so that's Sunday coming. And I know you will appreciate in anything you do, always put God first. And so we are having a church service. We are going to church. We're going to the Co-Cathedral Immaculate Conception. Everybody knows that as the Catholic Church.
Yes.
For service in the morning. We are joining the church for their morning worship, and that's at 8:30. So we're inviting persons here in St. Kitts to come to the Catholic Church on Sunday morning, and so that we can participate in their service. I understand one of the things I understand, which I didn't realize this was going to happen, is that the youth in the Catholic Church, they are responsible for the service on Sunday.
Oh, so it will be a youth mass.
So yes, so that makes it even more important.
Should be
for us
extremely
to show the
lively.
link between the government and the young people in the church. Well, I expect it should be lively, because once we have young people, as I understand it, and as I know from the church I go to, that the young people's service is really a little different. It's more upbeat and so on, with choruses and things like that. So I expect that we should have a wonderful time.
Sure, I'm Catholic,
I know that, yes.
and I am an extremely proud Catholic, happy to be a Catholic. But I do know that there is a sort of a stereotype of the Catholic Church as being very sort of dead and solemn and that sort of a thing. But over the years, the church has, changed some of its forms of worship, and now you're hearing a lot of praise and worship songs and so on in the church and so on, because the church has to really cater to the modern times, and as you correctly said, to the young people. It has to cater to the young people, and their form of worship. It has to be attractive to them and so on. And so over the years there has been a sort of a dynamism in the church, a sort of a charismatic renewal in the church, and that sort of attracts the young people and so on. So as you correctly said, we can look forward to a very lively service
I expect so.
on Sunday.
I know what has happened in the past. The so-called established churches have stuck with the format that they had way back 50, 60, 100 years ago.
Yes.
And I think all of us must recognize that we are moving on in terms of age, and therefore you must find a way to bring the young people into the church. Mm-hmm. And I must say that in the church I attend, which I'm a Moravian, I go to Zion Moravian, we have over the last, I would say, 15 years, changed our service, so that what I found interesting is that when people come to Moravian, where I have been there for years, they say they can't believe this is Moravian. It's so lively. We sing a lot of praise and worship team. The message is usually one which is dynamic, which deals with the times in which we live in. And so one would expect that the older folks would take some time to get involved and acclimatize themselves to that. But certainly I think this is the way one has to look at church in terms of, if you want to get the young people, because they are really the future, and if the church is to survive, obviously we must find a way to involve the young people. So
that's right. The Christianity was brought to us by the Europeans and so on.
That's right. Yeah.
And at one point, for example, the Catholic Church, the Anglican Church, and so on, the church was very Eurocentric in its form of worship and so on. And you had the organ, basically you had the piano and so on. To speak of drums in the church, and even steel pan and so on, was really unheard of. In fact, some people thought that when you beat the drums in the church, you were bringing the devil into the church.
That's right.
And things like that. So I think now the church cannot be frozen in time, that it really has to adapt itself to the modern society. Not necessarily that it's going to be so affected by secularization.
Yeah, okay.
But to adapt to the change in times and so on, especially in its liturgy, in various forms of worship and so on, if it's really to not be a sort of anachronistic.
What I would say, what I found with liturgies is that they kind of get ritualistic. I mean, you could just mouth the words and they don't mean anything to you, because if you have said the same prayer year after year, you know the prayer, but you know, you're just mouthing the words and so on. So in our case at Moravian, we don't do a lot of liturgies. We do that in terms of if you're dealing with the Lord's Supper.
Sure.
You're dealing with certain things like Easter and so on. But
Sure.
to have a liturgy every single Sunday, we don't do that.
Yeah.
One feels it's more effective if you have persons who pray and really pray with feeling and comes from their heart. And you know, there's a sense of belief in what they're saying. And so that is the way that
But we've always had that sort of a thing, the spontaneous prayer,
yeah, right.
of course, and you have the more traditional prayers. For example, the Our Father that we say.
Oh,
it's a very traditional,
Right.
you know. But some people have a problem with prayers that are written, and some people say, "Oh, your prayers must not be written. You should just say them from your heart." Now, if it's written, it doesn't mean that you're not saying it from
That
your
is
heart,
true, right.
and so on. But the whole idea that you mentioned that the week of activities begins on Sunday with a church service.
Sunday coming to
And that really speaks to, as you correctly said, the praise and the thanksgiving to Almighty God for all that have been accomplished.
for the 2 years, and seek for guidance as far as you continue into the third year.
That is correct.
That's what it's all about.
And we are a Christian society,
Yes.
and our religion basically plays an important part in terms of who we are as a people. It is what has really shaped us in terms of a moral society, and what is acceptable and not acceptable, formed our consciences and that sort of thing. Yeah.
Yes, I agree with you. And we continue Sunday in that vein, in terms of Christian vein, religious, because the evening we have our Team Unity, I Believe Gospel Concert. That's what it is. Team Unity, I Believe Gospel Concert. And that's going to be held at Greenlands Park. And as I said before, Greenlands Park is where it all started back in September 2014. 2014? Well, the years are going so fast.
Well, yes, it would have been.
I know it was
It's 2013.
2013, September, yes. When we launched this Team Unity. And so we go back to Greenlands Park, and there's a gospel concert we're having there. As I said, Team Unity, I Believe Gospel Concert.
So is it kind of hallowed ground at Greenlands Park? It's hallowed ground. Would you say it is hallowed ground in the sense that that is where, in some sense, the movement actually started, in terms of people congregating together,
Yeah, that was the
and
first
recognizing that they have come together with this, you know, this need for change, and so on. So in some ways, Greenland holds a lot of
that,
significance.
right, for us. So that's why we figured if in beginning what we're doing, we should go back to, if you want to say, our roots with respect to that particular venue. It's going to be a very interesting, impactful, and I expect an gospel-filled night. We have quite a number of local artists who are going to be on that show, and we also have an international artist. And I think I saw some information you wrote up about him, Lesroy, and that is Jonathan Nelson.
Yes,
He is our international artist. He's from the United States of America.
Right.
I don't know if ZIZ here has the music. I think
They have the music, and I think
the music which hits everybody's the song he has, I Believe.
I believe,
That's it.
and somehow we are going to play some of his music a little later in this show.
Oh, okay, fine. Right, yeah. Now, the important thing about this Sunday night, and so I really want to emphasize this today, is that it's this St. Kitts and Nevis celebration. This show happens to be in St. Kitts, but it's a St. Kitts and Nevis celebration. So what we have move to now towards is to have people come over from Nevis to St. Kitts for the show. Let me emphasize, everything we're doing this week is free. So if you're coming for the show from Nevis, because it'll be a special charter from Nevis to St. Kitts, free. The following night we're going to travel from St. Kitts to Nevis, it is free. In other words, we want our people to feel that they're part of what is happening. So I've spoken with the captain of the Carib Queen, and so we will be using the Carib Queen on that particular evening to bring persons across from Nevis, and then we will take them back certainly after the show. But that is something free, and so I want people to know that. I want the word to go out in Nevis, and it will, because we're doing our ads. I think the audio ad, I listened to it today, it's already completed, but we're also doing a video ad, and that should be ready for tomorrow. So you will be able to deal with this in terms of seeing, in terms of hearing on the radio and viewing on the television.
You know, I basically do not believe, Ambassador, that anything is free. Everything has a cost. But I think that what we should say is that the government will bear the cost.
Yes.
Because bringing the people together, bridging the divide between St. Kitts and Nevis is so important, that you want to bring people together. And a celebration like this as well, the second anniversary, you want as many people as possible to be included.
That's correct, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the important thing where this whole show is concerned. So I want really to, once you get the ads out, and look, let me tell you this, that this information has been on Facebook even before we have indicated who the artist is. Somewhere somebody got a wind of it. I don't know how they did, because I really didn't speak to anybody ahead of time. But it's been out there, and also for the Friday night, that was even out on Facebook and so on, even before Jonathan Nelson.
Well, this guy's
people were saying you know that we are having these persons here for.
And he's a
shows.
pretty young guy too. I think he's only 42 years old.
I think he's 42 years old, yes.
And in a biography written about him, they said that he was raised in the church.
Yes, I saw that.
And
a lot of these singers.
And his father was a pastor.
Was a pastor, right. And his mother, I don't know if
served as first lady.
Yeah, right.
And his relatives were all musicians.
That's correct, yes.
Right? And all of this led to this. The budding artist went to study music at the School for Arts and so on, where he studied choir. Yeah, he studied choir. And then later on he got some big position as an executive with a computer software company, but almost lost everything in the 2001 dot-com collapse. It was then basically that his life turned around, and that he realized that he should have this dependence on God and all of that sort of a thing. So basically, you're talking about a man who all his life has been in contact with the church and with God and so on. So it is not just somebody who I feel is just singing for the sake of singing or to make money, but it seems that there has been some conversion.